Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you about some of the problems that I see that people are struggling with on their Unit 2 test. A problem like number 4. A lot of people are getting confused because there are parentheses here. Because there is an addition sign between those parentheses, you really could just pretend like the parentheses aren't there, and you're still just going to combine like terms. So I have 8x's and then a positive 9x's. That would be 17x's. And I have a negative 1 here and a negative 2 here. A negative 1 and a negative 2 together make a negative 3. The reason that I put a minus sign between them is because you have a negative answer. So if you write it out right beside one another, it would look kind of like this. Alright, I have a lot of people who are getting a positive number here and not putting a plus sign and just circling that as their answer. Alright, you need to make sure you have a plus sign or a minus sign there. Another issue that I have seen are problems like this. It's still just another combining like terms problem. Don't let it mess you up because it has decimals in it. That doesn't mean that it's any more difficult. You have a calculator that you can use. Alright, remember you need to pay attention to the plus signs and the minus signs. That's what tells you if it's positive or negative. And what you can do is basically you just find your terms that are the same. Here I have an A and here I have an A. I'm just going to drop them down. I'm going to drop down 2.5A minus 5A. When you have your calculator, remember, don't type these letters in. It's going to mess you up. You would just type in your calculator 2.5 minus 5. If you do that, you will get a negative 2.5. Don't forget to bring the A down with it. Then you're going to look at your terms that are B terms. I'm going to bring down a minus 1.3B, minus or negative. They are interchangeable. Plus, I have 0.8B. Guys, you have a calculator. You need to make sure that you use it. Make sure you hit a negative 1.3. Remember to use the negative sign that is below the 3, not just the subtraction sign. So if you type in negative 1.3 plus 0.8, you will get an answer of negative 0.5. Now remember to include the B. So if I put this together, I have negative 2.5B minus 0.5B. Oops, guys, sorry. This one's supposed to be an A. There we go. Alright, so negative 2.5A minus 0.5B. Okay. For those of you who are struggling with distributive property, something like this, remember, you can use the area model, which many of you learned in elementary school for multiplying. So what you can do here is you kind of make a box. You're trying to multiply 3 times 2x minus 6. So in this box, I multiply 3 times 2 is 6. Make sure I include my x. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. So your answer here is 6x minus 18. You cannot combine this anymore because this term has an x, this does not. Now, taking what you know there to something a little bit more complicated is a problem like this. Remember, you need to distribute this negative 4. That means you're going to multiply negative 2y plus 4 times the negative 4. So if you come over here to the side and you want to use that area model to multiply, you're multiplying negative 4 times a negative 2y plus 4. All right. Negative 4 times a negative 2 is a positive 8. Make sure you include your y. Then a negative 4 times a positive 4 is a negative 16. So on this side right here, when I distribute, I'm left with 8y minus 16. Don't forget to bring down this 8y. This 8y was positive, this 8y was positive, so I can just add them together to get 16y's minus 16. And that would be my final answer. Similar to the problem we had here that had this linear expression plus this linear expression, you also have problems that have a subtraction between them. That's where you have to be careful. Because it is subtraction, you cannot just pretend like those parentheses are not there. All right, remember we talked about distributing a negative 1. Here you have negative 1 times an x plus 14. A negative 1 times 1x is going to be a negative x. Negative 1 times a positive 14 is minus 14. So, if you come back to the problem, you do have your 8x minus 2. But because I had to distribute this negative 1, I know that I have minus x minus 14. That would be where the majority of people make their mistake, is they would just bring down plus 14. And you can't do that. So now I'm going to combine my terms that are the same. I have x, 8 x's minus an x. That is 7 x's. I have negative 2 minus 14. Guys, a lot of you are trying to do this quickly in your head, and sometimes you are messing up. To make sure that you don't mess up, if you want to do it in your head, do it in your head, but then check it with your calculator. It is there. It is a tool for you to use. So you would type in a negative 2. Make sure you use that negative button that's below the 3 on the calculator. Negative 2 minus 14 is a negative 16. That is why I know to put a subtraction sign there. I know a lot of people have been asking in class, well, Miss Beatty, how do you know if it's a minus sign or a plus sign? I know here that it is a minus sign because I know that when I combine a negative 2 and a negative 14, or a minus 2 and a minus 14, I'm going to get a negative or a minus 16. Alright, so the last one we're going to talk about on the first page is the dreaded perimeter problem. Guys, I have a lot of people coming up with answers like 20x. On a problem like this, where I have a constant, means a number by itself, you cannot get a term that only has x's in it. Where did the numbers by themselves go? They can't just disappear. So, for our perimeter problems, remember, perimeter means that you add up all of the sides. If this side is 2x, this side is 2x. If this side is x plus 4, this side is x plus 4. You're going to add them all up. So, 2x's and 2x's. That's 4x's. I've used this side, use this side. And then for these two sides, I have an x plus 4 plus I have an x plus 4. This is an x, this is an x. Together they make 2 x's. There we go. Sorry, guys. And then I have a 4 and a 4. Those are constants. They are numbers by themselves. You cannot combine that with a term that has an x. So it will stay separate as just plus 8. So, all together, I have 2x's plus 2x's is 4x's. Plus an x and an x is another 2x's, so that's 6x's all together. Plus my two constant terms, my two numbers by themselves, 4 and 4 is 8. So an expression that represents the perimeter of this rectangle would be 6x plus 8. That's it for going over problems on the first page. Check out the next video, and I will go over problems on the second page, which would include evaluating expressions and solving 1- and 2-step expressions.